So obviously a big game for your girls coming in against Adelaide. Winless in your last three. Not the best performance against Sydney, albeit you did get the point. What did you take out of that game?
Look, I thought, defensively we were quite resolute. We took away some of their threats. They had a couple chances from, again, transition. We knew that would be their key strength. We had to change up a couple of things just because we're, in an attacking sense, a little bit depleted with numbers. So tried a little bit differently. We played with no 9, tried to overload the midfield a little bit, but I think conditions were very, very tough, very, very windy, just a typical day at Casey Fields, very high winds and high temperatures. So probably was a little bit against us, and with the few changes, probably wasn't the greatest of conditions for a football game. But I thought, we fought well to the end to hold on for the point. So, we'll look for a better performance all around, especially in an attacking sense this weekend.
Because especially in that attacking sense, because now, like, you were scoring quite a bit earlier in the season, now just 2 goals in your last 3 games. You did put 5 past Adelaide the last time you played them, so you're looking for some sort of explosion this week?
Look, not necessarily. So it's not easy just to say we'll come out and score 5-6 goals every single weekend. It's not that easy sometimes to score goals. So look, we've prepared. We'll play our game. We'll try to, fix from last weekend and from the last few weeks. We got a few new personnel inside. So again, gives everyone else a chance. And again, we're looking forward to it. And yeah, just to be a little bit more complete this weekend. And it's simple. We'll create as many chances and try to put as many away as we possibly can. But after that, we'll see what happens.
Because you did mention it, you have had a few personnel heading out the door mid-season, which you wouldn't have been planning for as coach. I mean, outfielders and even your starting goalkeeper. How have you managed to adjust for that?
Look, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. So it's probably something that we didn't, forecast or see happening. But on the other hand, we're extremely proud, and we're excited for them as well for their challenges ahead, and it's an exciting one. Going over to the NWSL, both as was mentioned last week, both broke the Australian records for quite substantial transfer fees. So it just shows that the women's game is going in the right direction. We have talent in Australia. We've got good players playing in our league. So overseas, big leagues, big clubs are taking notice. So on one hand, it's pleasing. On the other hand, it's not too pleasing as well when you're losing players mid-year, and with how the transfers set, we can't sign anyone unless they were off contract from December 26th, and then you can't sign amateurs. You can say it's all wrong, and I hope this can be changed, because maybe they didn't foresee that there would be transfers, but now there have been, and we're sort of stuck that we really can't sign anyone unless they fit that criteria that they haven't played for 2 months basically.
With the transfer fees, you touched on both of them record fees, and obviously record fees in the women's game still in their formative stages. They're still growing, but with those fees, have you found out, will they be reinvested into the women's program, like for your facilities, or will you get an extra budget for next season? Have you been told what will happen with them?
No, I haven't asked that, so I'm not too sure. So that's out of my hands. That's not. I'd love to take it all, but we'll see it for next season. So I think we have our budget, and then we play with that. So now look, it's something new. Like we said, it's the first time it's really happened where it's good transfer fees. So we'll see if that has any means for next season or for this season. We will be bringing in one more player we've managed to find, so that'll hopefully be announced next week, and then we'll go ahead with that. That'll be our squad for the remainder of the season.
Can I have a hint on that player? Is it Australian and international? Who are you bringing in?
It'll be an international player.
Excellent. So I'll start. So an international that was a free agent since December, I think, was the rule. So I'll start looking for that.
That's the rules.
Dario, you looked at, you touched on some of the structural changes that you made for the Sydney game to try and take advantage of a few things. What's your thinking heading into Adelaide? Obviously, Adelaide, very different strengths, very different weaknesses than Sydney FC. What are some of the areas that you'll be looking to exploit in this game?
Look, majority of the focus has been on us. I think the message with Adelaide is, even disregarding our performance last time against them and our result. So, this will be completely different. And I think if we look close to home, we can see with the men, from an 8-1 was very quickly a turnaround of a 5-1 defeat. So that's probably the closest to home where we can use that to say it's not just that we turn up and we definitely get a win, because that's never the outcome, especially in our leagues where everything's quite close. And that they'll want to fix last time as well, so they'll come in desperate as well, for their season. And I think the table doesn't really justify them. They're a good team. They try to play. They're well organised. So we're ready for a good test, for a good battle. And we'll just try. We fixed up a couple of things, spoke about a couple of things this week, and just as alluded to before, just put in hopefully a better performance this weekend.
Because looking at the squad as well, you've obviously still got your Kiwis out, but health and fitness-wise, of everybody that's still here in the country, do you have a full squad to choose from?
Depends what you mean by full squad. So it's about, I think,
of those available, those like in the country that.
Yeah. Look, the ones that we've had 14 training this week, so, and 2 keepers, so they're all available, which is good. So we've got 16, and that's pretty much the full quota. And actually, no, Caitlin Carriage is out, so she's got a little bit of a relapse with her knee, so she's another one that's out. So thanks for the reminder.
I apologise for that.
No, that's okay.
So basically, so you'll have 4 outfielders on the bench and the keeper?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so obviously not ideal. So that international reinforcement can't come quicker than later. Because does it feel as though, as well, like looking at the table, Dario, we see a couple of losses and a draw, but then Western United 4 wins in a row. They're now just a point back of you. Does it really feel like you're in a title race now there?
Look, maybe if you ask the players, it might be different. For me, not so much. I'm not too focused in on that. Would we like to win every game? Of course we would. That's always what we set out, how we play in the week, how we play. It's all set out to go out and to try to dominate and to win. But I don't take too much reading into the table. So look, for us, there's Adelaide on the weekend. There's 5 games remain after that, and then when we hit the finish line, we'll see where we're at.
Is that part of your thinking now? Because as you say, like there's an international break coming up as well, where you could retool and then just 5 games. Is that part of your thinking? You're now trying to plot out loading and all of these other things to try to get your side peaking for finals football?
Unfortunately, we can't load. We don't have enough players to rest and to rotate. So, like two New Zealanders come back, and then 3 under-20s leave for the Asian Cup. So, with Danny, Naomi, and Tian will all leave, and I think for Australian football, we all hope that they're gone for the whole month. That means that they're in the final, that they've won it. So, we can't really load because unfortunately there's no one to put in place. So look, we'll play. We don't want to make excuses. It is what it is. Is it ideal? Not really. But again, we're still prepared. We have confidence in everyone. We'll still try to play our style. We can't change now because again, it's what we've practiced, it's what we've done. So we'll go about our business, and at the end, as I said, once we get to that finish line, we'll see where we're at, and then we'll prepare for finals after that.
I guess that sort of leads to 2-pronged question then, Dario, because obviously your roster's getting absolutely decimated heading in towards the end of the season, and you've had to deal with players on international duty before, but you're now getting hit with player transfers mid-season as well. I guess a 2-parter. Like, one, you touched on before about you'd like to see some changes introduced to protect sides like yours. Like, what changes would you like to see? And I guess 2, heading into next season now, are you going to have to start planning around, like you've got Danny Galich, Holly McNamara, just maybe having contingency plans in case somebody comes in and pays for them mid-season as well?
Look, in terms of the transfer, I think we need to align with the rest of the world. So we're not aligned at the moment. Our window is closed when theirs open. So then, they've taken 2 of our players, and we can't sign anyone unless they were contracted to prior to December 26th or the 28th last year, or they had to have held a contract within the last 3 years. So, but with such a short remainder of games, it's hard to bring in an outfield player that hasn't played for, and usually December's in Europe and that, then they're not playing. That's when their off season is. In America is quite similar, so it's 3 to 4 months where an outfield player hasn't played. So it makes it even more difficult when you consider that by the time they arrive, there's only about 5 rounds left plus finals. So it makes it very, very difficult. So I think just very simply that we are aligned with the rest of the world, that that we could potentially then bring in anyone else, because it's the transfer window's open for Europe, the transfer window's open for America, but unfortunately for us it's closed. And then now we have to be a little bit more. It is hard to prepare, because you hope that the squad that you have at the start you would like to finish with, but I was a player as well, and I know the dreams that these girls have, so it'd be very hard for me to now say to them, you can't go, you can't do this, you can't do that. So it's always that intention that they come here, that we look to, we want to win, but also want to develop them, because they're young girls. They all have those same dreams and same aspirations that I did when I was a young player. So it's about giving them the right, tools and ingredients, and also the knowledge that when they do go overseas, that I don't see Torpy or I don't see Liziane for 10, 15 years, when they maybe consider maybe towards the back end of their careers maybe to come back to Australia, or they at least maybe reach out. So that's also on the back of my mind as a coach, to try to give them the best platform, that when they go overseas that they have a long and successful career, and play for the national teams. And it's also exciting, and for me it was also really nice to see Torpy get called into the Matildas. Danny is going in as a train-on for the first 5 or 6 days. So this is also really nice, and as a football club, we're also very proud of that as well.
Yeah, because I did want to ask you about Danny Galich. Obviously, a huge thing for her, not only to be going away with the junior national sides, but now getting a taste of senior camp at just 17 years old. I mean, what was it like for the group when they got the word that Danny was going into the Matildas camp as a train-on as well, and just what's obviously they're trying to bring her along slowly and integrate her into the setup. Just how mature do you think she is as a player right now, and at what point do you think she'll be ready to transition into the senior national team setup?
Look, I think in terms of if she's ready, I think she is to integrate into the group, to be there. She's just a kid that loves football. So she's fantastic. She's just, to put it very simply, as I said, she just loves football, anything to do with football. She just, she's a good friend to the girls. She just wants to, be around, and they go to each other's houses. But in terms of football, she just loves us. We were all very excited for her. I'm sure she's 10 times more excited than we are as well. So she's looking forward to it, and it's just another progression. But, sometimes we do forget that she is 17 years old and she's carrying such a burden, especially now with all our attackers out. It's sometimes even myself, I forget how tender in age she is, and, we expect sometimes a little bit too much. So, that's her talent. That's her talent, and that's why it is like that. So, but she still has a bit to learn, and that's normal, being a 17-year-old kid. But the progression that she's made this season, and we're all extremely proud, really happy, and I'm sure there'll be a couple clubs calling us and wanting her services once she turns 18 as well.
Obviously, she can play a variety of positions. Where do you think her long-term future is?
I think central. So we try to, she's played as a winger, then a winger that inverts and comes into that 10 position. So trying to, again, due to sometimes injuries and that, and we're forced sometimes to play her there, but we try to accommodate it where it can be, where she can still have success, where she can stay out wide, then she can find times to come inside and overload the midfield, or get him into those nice little pockets that she's really good at finding. Then when she turns and starts running at people, so it's not just where we just throw her out on the wing and just say, off you go. It's more just we try to accommodate for, with people that we've lost. So like now a Tiana or a Naomi is a lot different profile to Torpy or a Jules that would probably naturally play there. So we've had to change things a little bit, but I think in terms of everything, we still, within the structure, we remain similar. But then it's just trying to give them a platform where they can show their quality. So it's a little bit different, but I think to Sydney, if we go back to that game, I thought we were quite good to a certain point, and then it broke down a little bit, and that could have been due to the structure, a little bit of a change, conditions as well. So we're still learning, we're still trying to improve, and again, we've got girls that are coming in playing first few handful of games, and it's hard when you compare them to Torpy, who's been given, say, 4 or 5 years to develop in this league, to learn, to get better, and all that information, and through mistakes, that's how they learn. So it's only natural with young players there will be mistakes, but that's the best way to learn.